So, you just tied the knot with a United States citizen and you're ready to start your life together. Honestly, congratulations. That's amazing. But if you think saying I do means you automatically get a green card handing to you right there at the altar, well, I've got some news for you. That is a massive myth. The reality is a highly structured and, yes, sometimes kind of intimidating legal process. But don't worry. The whole goal of this explainer is to completely demystify the true step-by-step process for you. We're going to break down the exact roadmap you need to follow and replace all that confusion with absolute clarity. But real quick, before we get into the weeds, I need to state very clearly that the information we're covering today is strictly educational and informational. It does not replace professional legal advice. Every single immigration journey is totally unique. If your specific situation involves complex factors, I'm talking things like illegal entries, previous deportations, a history of criminal arrests, expired visas, or maybe prior immigration fraud, you absolutely must consult with a licensed immigration attorney. Seriously, do not risk your future. Get professional representation if your case has those complexities. Okay, let's dive into this. For our roadmap today, we're focusing on a very specific path known as adjustment of status. Basically, this is the legal process used by an eligible immigrant who is already physically present inside the United States to apply for lawful permanent resident status, which is just the fancy term for the green card. If you're applying from your home country outside the U.S., that's something called consular processing, and that has its own different steps. But today, we're zeroing in entirely on couples who are navigating the system from within the U.S. borders. To keep things simple, our explainer today is broken down into 6 phases: essential documents, core forms, package assembly, the application timeline, the interview, and finally, fatal errors. Let's get started. Phase 1. Essential documents. Time to gather the evidence. The very first step is to take what feels like a chaotic mountain of paperwork and neatly organize it into 3 totally manageable buckets. First up, the U.S. citizen needs to prove who they are and their financial standing. So things like passports, birth certificates, tax returns, W-2s, and employment letters. The second bucket is for the immigrant, who needs to prove their identity and their legal entry. Think passport, visa, translated birth certificates, and your I-94 arrival record. But listen, the third bucket is arguably the most critical: marriage evidence. The government doesn't just take your word that you're in love. A legitimate marriage requires hard, physical evidence. We're talking joint bank accounts, a joint lease, or maybe a shared mortgage, utility bills with both of your names on them, shared insurance policies, and yes, photos of you together. You really have to prove you are actively building a life together. Phase 2, core forms. Let's navigate the paperwork. All right, let's decode this alphabet soup of essential forms you're going to become very familiar with. The I-130 is the petition for an alien relative. This just establishes the legal relationship between the citizen and the spouse. The I-130A is attached to that, gathering supplementary background info on the immigrant spouse. Now, the big one is the I-485. That is the actual application to adjust status and get the physical green card. And a huge note here, when filling out the I-485, you must answer all those security questions with 100% honesty. Never, ever lie about prior arrests, deportations, or unauthorized work. We also have the I-765, which is your work permit application so you can earn money while you're waiting, and the I-131, advanced parole, which lets you travel internationally. But a really quick warning on the I-131, never leave the country before that specific form is officially approved. So, the crucial point for a lot of folks is the financial hurdle, which brings us to Form I-864, the Affidavit of Support. Basically, the U.S. citizen is promising the government that they will financially support their immigrant spouse. To qualify for this, the citizen typically needs to prove an income that is at or above 125% of the federal poverty level. They'll look at your recent tax returns and pay stubs to verify it all. But hey, if the U.S. citizen doesn't make quite enough money, you aren't out of luck. You are absolutely allowed to bring in a co-sponsor to help meet that 125% requirement. Now, there is one more form you need to know about, and it comes with a massive warning label attached to it. Form I-693 is the official medical exam, which checks your vaccines and overall health. You have to go to a doctor specifically authorized by USCIS. When the doctor's completely finished, they're going to give you your results in a sealed envelope. Please hear me clearly on this. Do not open that envelope. I mean it. If you break that seal, the immigration officer will reject it, your health results will be totally invalidated, and your case will face major delays. Just let the government open it. Phase 3, package assembly. Time to organize the application. Presentation absolutely matters here, guys. You want to make the reviewing officer's job as easy as humanly possible. So here is the recommended top-to-bottom order for your physical package. Right on top, place a clear cover letter detailing exactly what's in the box attached to your payment check.
Next, please Form G1145, which is just the form asking for text and email updates, followed by all your core forms like the I-130 and I-45. Right behind the forms, beautifully organize all that marriage evidence we just talked about. And finally, include your passport photos and that sealed medical exam envelope all the way at the back. It's highly recommended to use clear dividers and printed labels. A professional, organized package speaks volumes about the legitimacy of your application.
Phase 4. Application timeline. Let's talk about what to expect. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what you can expect while you wait. I know the waiting is tough. About 2 to 4 weeks after you drop the package in the mail, you should get a physical receipt notice confirming they actually have your application. Within 1 to 3 months, you'll be called in for biometrics. Don't worry, that's just getting your fingerprints, a photo, and a signature taken. Somewhere between 3 to 8 months, your work permit should arrive, allowing the immigrant spouse to legally work in the U.S. Finally, anywhere from 8 to 18 months down the line, you'll be scheduled for your final interview. Now, keep in mind the exact time frame for when that final green card actually arrives depends heavily on how busy your local USCIS field office happens to be. But before we talk about that interview, you really need to know about the 2-year rule. If on the exact day your application is approved, you have been married for less than 2 years, you're going to receive a conditional green card that is only valid for 2 years. It's essentially a probationary period just for them to ensure the marriage is real. Right before those 2 years are up, you'll have to file an extra form, the I-751, to remove those conditions and finally get your 10-year card. Now, if you've been married for over 2 years at the time of approval, great news. You skip the conditional phase entirely, and standard permanent residency rules apply immediately.
Phase 5, the interview. The big final step.
The officer conducting this interview really only has one job: to figure out if your marriage is authentic or if it's a sham just for a visa. Sure, they might ask standard questions like, how did you meet or when was the wedding? But they might also test you with highly specific, slightly dramatic questions, things like, what side of the bed do you use? Or what did you eat for dinner yesterday? Or who pays the electric bill? The absolute key here: stay calm. Be honest. Look, if you genuinely don't remember what you ate for dinner yesterday, just laugh and say you don't remember. Do not memorize robotic rehearsed answers. Just interact as the normal, genuine couple that you are, and make sure to bring copies of your most recent joint documents to show your life together is continuing to build. Phase 6. Fatal errors. These are the mistakes you absolutely have to avoid. A seemingly tiny oversight can have massive, catastrophic consequences for your timeline. The most common fatal errors include sending forms with blank spaces. Listen, if something doesn't apply to you, literally write NA. Don't just leave it blank. Forgetting to sign your documents in black ink. That is an automatic rejection. Providing poorly translated foreign documents without certified translations will completely halt your case. Failing to update your address if you happen to move will result in missed notices, which is a nightmare. And of course, the biggest error of them all: lying or hiding information. The government checks for inconsistencies, and hiding a past issue is literally always worse than just dealing with it honestly upfront. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a piece of really reassuring best practice advice derived directly from successful cases. Make this quote your golden rule. Use exactly the same name on all forms, save digital copies of everything, and review every form at least 3 times. Meticulous organization and exact matching, especially making sure your name matches your passport letter for letter on the I-130, these are absolutely your best tools for navigating this complex system safely. Honestly, do not send your package until you've scanned a digital copy of every single page for your own personal records. The journey to a marriage green card isn't magic. It's really just a test of your patience and your paperwork. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Are you ready to meticulously organize your way to a green card, or will a single overlooked signature delay your future? Take a deep breath, double-check your entire application package, gather up all that genuine evidence, and take complete control of your immigration journey. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I wish you both the very best on the road ahead.